6,500 Hamas rockets, and there's been 6,000 airstrikes from Israel, and yet the invasion hasn't even happened yet. Our next guest was born in Africa, spending years in the Muslim Brotherhood, where she was taught to hate Jews, which is what Hamas eventually branched off from. She warns that the terrorist group is another ISIS. Joining us with more is Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Great to see you, Ayaan. Fantastic. Unfortunately, we need your expertise in this area. Is it true that, as the president says, most Palestinians are not represented by Hamas? That's not how they think?
I would say Hamas as an entity is just like ISIS and are using Palestinians as cannon fodder. And they're using the Palestinian people, babies, children, women, to advance their agenda, which is just as nihilistic as that one of ISIS, which is they hate Jews, they hate Israel, and they're willing to martyr or sacrifice their own people to annihilate the state of Israel.
So they did a poll in 2021, and 53% of the Palestinians say they believe Hamas is most deserving of representing the Palestinian people. Only 14% thought Fatah with Abbas. They prefer that secular part of them. So one would think, as an outsider, that these are the representatives that they want.
I think it is very difficult to poll a society that is governed by an entity like Hamas. Can you imagine if you're living in the Palestinian Gaza and you say something other than that and what the consequences would be? I have talked to a number of Palestinian people over the years, and what I find is they do not represent all Palestinians. But, and this is much more important, Hamas see Palestinians not as human beings, but as pawns, as tools to use in their nihilistic desire to annihilate Israel and all Jews.
So right now, with the invasion seems to have, I thought it was going to happen last week. It looks like it's going to be a few more days, maybe after the president leaves. Do you understand why the Jewish people or the Israeli people feel as though they have no choice but to go in hard and wipe them out?
Absolutely, I understand that. And I think that this should have happened earlier. And every time the Israeli government does it, goes halfway, the problem of Hamas, it just grows and it consumes more people, and more people on both sides end up getting killed. So I completely support right now the program of Israel to definitively deal with Hamas and get them out of Gaza, not only for the sake of Israel, but also for the sake of the Palestinians.
So what would you expect of the neighbors? Egyptians are reluctant to take anybody in. The Saudi Arabia evidently gave our Secretary of State the cold shoulder. They say we've been ignoring the region, and the president's now going to go himself. Do you understand? Some people say, well, Israel, you'll make things worse if you go in because there'll be a humanitarian crisis. What is the what is the answer in your view?
I think the Arab governments are terrified of taking in people from Gaza because they know Hamas militia members are hiding amongst them, and they know that they are going to regroup on their own soil. Hamas has been threatening the government of Egypt for some time now, and Egypt has been having skirmishes with them over the Sinai. So I think that the Arab governments, they used to support this idea of the destruction of Jews. They created a monster, and that monster is Hamas. It is radical Islam, and that monster's come for them a number of times, and they're very, very reluctant to take in people from Gaza and Hamas for capacity reasons, which are practical, that can always be resolved, but for their own security. They're walking a very tight rope.
And there's
take in.
Right. Ayaan, just real quick, the one country that's celebrating, loving every second of it, is Iran. So what does that tell you?
And I think Iran is feeling quite emboldened, and that they're feeling that way because of the way we've treated Iran from way back during the Obama administration. We pretended that we could talk them out of their, and I'm talking about the Iranian government, not the Iranian people. The Iranian people are against their government, but the Iranian Islamist regime, they tricked us into believing, the Obama administration, then later the Biden administration, that they were willing to talk. They're not willing to talk. They're the same people who took over control of Iran in 1979. They are annihilists. They want to eradicate the state of Israel. They're developing a nuclear weapon, and there's no talking them out of that.
Yeah, there's one party that keeps trying to win them over and the other party that's looking to keep them in a box. And the one in power right now is trying to win them over. It's time for them to quit it. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, thanks.
I think all we are postponing at the moment is a real confrontation with Iran, and it's going to happen any minute.
Right, it could. And we could also wipe out their two surrogates, too, with aiding Israel to take out Hamas and Hezbollah once and for all. Thanks so much.